For years, I thought I was doing everything right: the steady job, the long hours, the relationships that look good on paper. But deep down, something felt off. My nervous system was constantly on edge. And though I didn't realize it at the time, there was a quiet whisper inside of me saying, there has to be more than this. So I chose to listen. I walked away from a 10-year teaching career, started my own business, and began letting go of the identities, relationships, and patterns that no longer felt true to me. Becoming Unbound is where we explore what it really looks like to break free from the stories, systems, and expectations that were never truly ours. Through raw conversations and real stories from people who've dared to choose a different path, you'll learn to trust yourself, reclaim your voice, and create a life that finally feels like yours. I'm your host, Carley Butler, and this is your permission slip to start becoming unbound. Hey, friends, welcome back to Becoming Unbound. I am so excited to be sitting here with you for season 2. Yes, I took a little bit of a pause over the summer, and now we're back. We're back better than ever, baby. So, if you're new here, this is a space where we break free from the systems, identities, and stories that were never really ours, so we can step into the truest, most authentic versions of ourselves. Now, if you've been here since season 1, the deepest thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, for sending me messages about what these conversations meant to you. And this whole project started because I kind of needed a reminder that I wasn't alone. And it turns out neither were you. So today, I kind of want to just set the tone for this next season. I want to share a little bit of a life update and also bring you and myself back into the core of what becoming unbound really means. This season is going to be filled with even more raw, unfiltered conversations with people who've really just dared to choose a different path, people who've decided to stop playing by the rules that didn't fit them, and instead, they kind of just decided to write their own. But I also want this season to feel like a bit of an anchor for you, a reminder that you don't have to do things the way they've always been done, and that your life doesn't have to check someone else's boxes. So, this podcast is really about giving you the courage to really check in with yourself and ask, what do I being the key word there, I actually want? And then follow through with that, even when it feels freaking scary. So whether you are sitting in a job that, looks fine on paper, but it feels draining, your soul is kind of being sucked out of you, or maybe you've stepped into entrepreneurship and you're figuring out kind of the messy middle place, or maybe you are seeing these patterns reoccur in your life and you know that they aren't serving you anymore, but you don't really know how the heck to get out of them, you are in the right place. So now, since season 1, so much has shifted for me, and I just wanted to give you a bit of a life update. So, this past summer was my very first real full time entrepreneur, all by myself kind of summer. I also moved out. And I had to figure out what freedom really looks like in practice. And I'll be very honest with you. It wasn't all smooth sailing. But I recently heard on a podcast, and this has to do with, not all life is all about smooth sailing. And there's this 30-30-30 rule. And when you were living this 30-30-30 rule, it's like 30% of your time is in this blissful, amazing, happy, content, joyful place. 30% of the time you are kind of just in the mundane day by day. Nothing's too exciting, nothing's too, down and out, but you're just kind of living. And then 30% of the time is when you might be in those lower vibrational states, or you might be feeling some really, some sadness, some grief, some life happens and you might be feeling stresses and anxieties. So this 30-30-30 rule has really played out for me. And I love this feeling of knowing that because it kind of gives you that permission that not every day is going to be blissful and amazing, even though you are, unsticking yourself or becoming unbound. So there were days where I felt incredible, where I woke up and I thought, wow, I am actually building this life where I call the shots. And then there were days where I was like totally overwhelmed, anxious, second guessing everything. Stress was at an all time high. I was feeling behind. And the truth is, I guess that's kind of the truth of freedom. And that it's not just a straight line of joy and ease. It's messy, it's trial and error, it's learning where your boundaries are and where you still abandon yourself, and then figuring out where you can hold better boundaries and where you can honor some of the things that really, ring true for you. And I have to say that through it all, I realized that I wouldn't trade this path for anything. Even on the hard days, it's mine. And so when things feel like you are working towards your own vision, and maybe this is not for everybody, I have to say, not everyone is meant to go into the world of entrepreneurship. Maybe some people like community living a little bit more, but I would say like living on my own now and experiencing entrepreneurship and working towards my goals, like this is truly the life that I have dreamed about. And I think there is so much to be said in the traditional career path that I had chosen was that being a teacher kind of gave you, although you were working under curriculum guidelines and within a school community, and there was, things that just had to be done, and, parents and children that, we all did our best to take care of them. There was this sense of it being this little business, this little classroom that you ran that was kind of like you were the teacher. You were the sort of head honcho of your small business. And the employees had to show up every day. They had to be prepared with all the things that they needed. So you needed to make sure that there was open communication with all of the people involved in your business. At the end of the day, everything kind of fell on you to do the cleanup or to do the reports and make sure that, the books all checked out. So it's really interesting that I feel like my first career was essentially the building blocks to this career of entrepreneurship, of running my own business. Although I don't think running a business, I'm not quite there. I'm more in the freelance place of things. But it's a beautiful first step. And I wanted to kind of redefine and talk about here what is my definition of freedom? Because when I first thought about freedom, I thought it was about time. I wanted freedom over my calendar, freedom to choose what I worked on and who I worked with. And that is still true. But I also think my definition has expanded. And what I learned over this summer, I think now freedom also means giving myself permission to rest, giving myself permission to step away from my business. And this was even hard in teaching too, to step away from the classroom and to really, the only break that we got was the ones given to us by the board and by the school year calendar. But to be able to do that to myself, and I remember having a conversation with someone. I was working up to a holiday that I was taking, or a break. I think I was going to my cottage, and I was kind of stressed out about how would I take some time off because I was going to be taking a Monday and a Tuesday off more than the traditional weekend. And I remember having this conversation with her, and I was like, so, what I'm going to do, here's the plan for the next 14 days. I am just going to work like crazy. I'm going to work day in and day out. I'm not going to take any breaks. And then by the time my vacation comes, I will have the time I need to like take that time off because everything will be done and scheduled and ready to release. And she looked at me and she was like, that sounds awful. That was a huge moment. And what I ended up realizing, and through a couple other places in the summer where I was able to take, a Friday off or a Monday off, I realized that nothing really set on fire and that my people that I work for, the clients that I have taken on, trust me. And I can work and get everything scheduled and ready to go for the podcast that I am helping produce and manage. And it's so cool to be able to take that time off and know that, you know what? Yeah, that day I might not be working on the behind the scenes back end stuff of my business, but you know what? When I come back, I all of a sudden have this new sense of creative freedoms and like, oh, the inspiration that comes from me and the dedication that I feel after I've taken some time away from my clients and that business work. It's pretty incredible. So I think the idea of learning how to slow down, enjoy life instead of just constantly building it, it's to let creativity come through on its own time and not just on my to do list. So I think freedom is also starting to mean a little bit more space. So if you are feeling like there is no space in your life, like, trust me, haven't felt like there's been real space in my life within this first, I'm still in the first year of business. And but now I'm still it's there's like little glimmers of it. And I think that that is part of the whole journey is knowing that there are going to be little glimmers of the life that you wanted that you're working towards. And I think once you start to become unbound and unstuck and vouching for yourself and the things that you desire and need, the life that you want might not come all at once, but it might come slowly, piece by piece by piece. And those little spaces over the summer where I got to call the shots and I got to take a break from recording on my podcast, not to mention during the summer, it's very difficult to record with people because everyone has these summer holidays and things and plans. So, note to any podcasters out there, it's hard. It's a little difficult over the summer. So, bank your episodes over the summer. But that was a lesson and it was great. And I think giving myself that space and that freedom has also allowed me to transition that into my day to day. It doesn't always look like a vacation. Now, one of my practices, in order for me to feel a little bit more spacious, is to really sit down and have a short meditation or a breath work and then meditation in the morning. And that is such a cool time. And I think one of the tools that I knew about and it was one of the tools that helped me figure out that there was a path outside of me, or outside of the path that I was on. But I think that little space for yourself in the morning is so, so important. So honestly, the idea came from an episode of The Diary of a CEO, and Stephen Bartlett was interviewing a monk. I forget his name, but he said just start with 10 minutes a day. And then you might move in and you might get a little bit longer and longer, but start with 10 minutes and you're going to be terrible at it. But I think this is one of the things that I would recommend to everyone, even if it's 5 minutes. If you can just sit there for 5 minutes and think about your breath and the space in your body and the space in between your breaths, it's it's kind of a cool practice. And if you're figuring out, oh my gosh, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, maybe try that and see, comment below, send me a DM. Did that work for you? And this small ritual has just really shifted everything for me because it's not just about productivity and getting things done and doing things on my to do list to run my business, to make sure that clients are happy and to live this unbound life. It's about presence in the moment. So, that is one thing that I want to sort of encourage everyone listening to the podcast to find your practice. Maybe it's not breath work, maybe it's not meditation, maybe it's a quiet walk without a podcast in your ear or without music, just walking outside. Maybe it's going to the gym and just really getting into that state. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but find that 10, 15 minutes a day where it's just for you. And I feel like, I don't know, it worked for me. It might just work for you. And to really then, once you've kind of done that, see what freedom means to you. If you are feeling super stuck and bound, and you have to figure out what you value first, right? So your definition of freedom will always evolve, it will grow as you grow. And the more you give yourself permission to kind of honor that, the more unbound you're probably going to feel. I want to take it back to why I started Becoming Unbound. As I started season 2, I've already done a couple recordings with some amazing guests. I'm so excited for you to listen to these conversations. But Becoming Unbound is not just about entrepreneurship or big life changes, although those sometimes happen when you feel like you're stuck and you got to make a change. It's really about choosing yourself. It's about breaking free from the fine. And if you can see me on YouTube or Rumble, where we are currently broadcasting this video podcast, I'm air quoting fine. It's just fine. This fine life that feels suffocating on the inside, and maybe one that's, you're saying yes to a life that just feels okay. This is really about saying yes to a life and something that feels fully aligned with who you are and what your values are. and the things that you deep down know are true about you, your personality, your constitution, maybe your soul mission or your purpose on this earth. It's about just tuning into that and seeing if you can integrate a little bit more of that in your life. So, every conversation that we have here, whether it's me solo or me sitting down with a guest, is here to remind you that you're not trapped. First of all, like you have choices and that you can reclaim your voice, your wants, your needs, and design a life that actually feels like yours. And it might not look like you thought it was. Like, I did not think that my life would look like being a podcast manager. All I knew was that what I was doing was not what I wanted to do and it wasn't what I wanted to feel every day. And so that's why this season I am just so excited because the stories that I'm bringing here aren't just, inspirational, listen to a guest and wow. It's like, it's proof. It's proof that this is possible. It's proof that you're not crazy for wanting more. It's proof that your too muchness is actually your magic. And it's proof that you wanting more for yourself is natural and normal and it's a whole heck yes. So that's where I'm at. That's where this podcast is headed. I am so glad that you are here with me. So if this episode resonated with you, make sure you follow so you never miss an episode because this season is going to be incredible. Share it with a friend who's also on this journey of becoming unbound. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. All right, friends, this is only the beginning of season 2, and I promise you it's going to be powerful. I'm Carley Butler, and this is your permission slip to finally become unbound.